Cognitivism differs from behaviorism in that instead of focusing on observable behaviors, cognitivism explores the inner mental processes such as thinking, problem solving, and memory. One psychologist of note is Jean Piaget. Piaget was able to show through studies of child cognition that children understand and interact with their surroundings differently than adults. Piaget focused on the use and importance of the schema in children's cognitive development, the schema being a cohesive, repeatable action sequence possessing component actions that are tightly interconnected and governed by a core meaning. Each schema is a unit of knowledge, correlating to an action, object, or concept. Piaget believed some schema were innate, such as the sucking schema, in which an infant knows instinctively to attempt to suckle when an object touches their lips. Other schema must be learned through environmental interactions. As we learn, we develop schemata, which through putting all our units of knowledge together, we are able to organize and categorize information and the relationships between them. The Kuleshov effect can serve as a visual example. The Kuleshov effect has been studied among many psychologists and filmmakers. Originating in the early 20th century, Soviet filmmaker Lev Kuleshov found that viewers could derive more meaning from two sequential shots than one isolated shot. In his film, Kuleshov uses the same expressionless image of a man and pairs it with a shot of soup, a dead girl, and a woman. Each shot individually can serve as a schema, a brief, limited knowledge of the object. By pairing them together, we form schemata, through which we have greater meaning and context. Our soup is no longer just food. Paired with the man, we can infer the concept of hunger. The dead girl may represent death, but paired with the living man, we can now infer grief. By building upon our schemata, we are able to grow and increase the depth of our cognitive abilities. Piaget viewed intellectual growth as a process of adapting to the world around us. This happens through assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation is using existing schema to process a new object or situation. Accommodation is when the use of an existing schema doesn't work, and we must alter it to process the new object or situation. Imagine you have a pet dog. His name is Scooter. Scooter is the nicest dog. He wags his tail and rolls onto his back whenever you come home from school. Your aunt's dog, Rufus, jumps up and down and licks your face whenever you stop by. Now you visit a friend's house and see he has a cat, Bing Crosby. You've never seen a cat before, but he is friendly and assimilates with your schema of dog. You are able to understand cat as a pet, similar to dog. Now, your friend's dog, Billy Howliday, snarls upon seeing you enter the house. This poses a form of accommodation, as you've previously only known dogs to be gentle. You must now alter your understanding to accommodate that some dogs are nice and some are aggressive. We undergo the process of assimilation and accommodation when our understanding is knocked out of its equilibration. Equilibration being the state in which we are able to process new information through assimilation, not needing any further accommodation. Piaget believed that cognition did not develop at a steady rate, but in relation to the rates of disturbance to our equilibration. Equilibration means our understanding is unchallenged. We are content with our knowledge and how it explains the world around us. Humans do not like to be frustrated and confronted with information that they cannot process. When presented with such stimuli, they are forced to go through the process of accommodation to alter the schema until equilibration is again reached. This is similar to a baker trying to create the perfect cake recipe. She may finally think she has it and is content with her recipe, but when she tries another cake with cinnamon in it, she is distraught and flustered. She realizes her cake could be improved. She must rewrite her recipe to accommodate the changes she is now aware of until she is again content with her recipe. Our recipe, like our schema, can be continuously altered, fitting our taste at the time until we must change it again to accommodate a new flavor, spice, or topping. Piaget proposes discrete stages of development, not based on age, but on how a child is able to reorganize and expand their thinking due to experience. If this is learning, we can imagine our learners as akin to an essay. It is the role of teachers to inspire and engage, to create discussion and bring enlightenment, thus lengthening our essays. They do not tell us what to write, or what our end product should look like, but merely encourage us to continue and keep us engaged to do so. They should not push us forward until we are ready. Essentially, they should be focused on the writing process and not the finished essay. Schools are like an office supply store. Of course, for all our essays we need paper, and we need it in abundance. We must provide more than we expect to need, as we do not want to be limited in our learning simply because we've run out of resources or the space to write. But this store, our school, must provide more than simply paper. They must also have staples, binders, folders, tabs and inserts, highlighters, pens, pencils, ink, etc., all of which are necessary for each essay to be made unique, to be presented in the way it wishes to be, individualized based upon its content and interest. We need to be continuously engaged in this project, or we would cease to continue it. Our families and communities are our resources, as we would hope they would be in any ideal situation. They provide us with very necessary feedback and interaction. We engage with them, and this helps us to write and extend our essay, providing us with new input and references, which help us to edit our essays for the better, showing more mastery of its topics. Assessment in this type of learning is based on quality, not quantity. Though maybe we've all spent the same amount of time on these essays, one being 20 pages and one being only an intro is irrelevant. Is the intro well formed? Is it concrete, engaging, etc.? If the intro is done, we can assess that progress has been made, as we started with a blank page. As for our 20-page paper, we can continue to assess through its previous drafts if it too is well crafted and formulated, and if progress and schemata have been increased. Each essay is not based on the same rubric of expectation, as each topic will be different and will be ultimately developed in unique ways. Each essay is assessed as a whole, and not in comparison to others. Most importantly, we can always continue work on these essays by increasing its length or working in additional related subtopics. However, similar to Piaget stages, we don't progress to the next part, be it paragraph, topic, or what have you, until we've finished the previous. Unfortunately, the impact on social justice and equity may be unstable. Some stores may be better supplied than others, providing both larger quantities and larger varieties in materials and resources, setting some projects up for better success. With such high individualization, while each project is unique, they may all be within the same fields. For example, we could foster an overabundance of artists and create a severe deficit in scientists and engineers. While the knowledge of certain fields may be high, the same individual could be completely incompetent in others. This could greatly impact the society at large and how we function. Similarly, one could take this theory and imagine a house. You must have a foundation, or you cannot build. Continuing, you cannot build your second floor without a first. However, as we learn, we can make more connections and thus create a better, larger, more architecturally sound, and aesthetically pleasing house. Many people do not reach the end of Piaget stages. These homes would not have guest rooms or laundry rooms or accent walls. However, they still meet the requirements of a house: 4 walls, a foundation, a roof, etc. Even if these homes are not continuously renovated, they are still functional and able to be a part of the neighborhood.